Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to the poem of the day today for Sunday, August 10th, 2025. On Sundays, I like to go back to poems that are spiritual in nature, sometimes explicitly religious, but not necessarily so. And so today I'm going to return to the Victorian poet Gerard Manley Hopkins, who is writing spiritually and, in this case, explicitly religiously. He was a Jesuit priest who lived in the 1800s. And as I mentioned previously, he was known for rather sentimental and heavily emotional diction and expressions of traditional forms of verse in his poetry. Even when he wrote about nature, which was a frequent topic of the Victorian poets, he wrote about it as being charged with the Spirit of God. And that's something that you're going to hear in this poem. I don't intend to say a lot about this poem afterward, mostly because what drew me to this poem this morning was that it is focused on silence, and silence is something that has been very important in my own life, both religiously and spiritually. Every morning I sit in silence for at least 20 minutes and to just try to still myself and to listen to the things that bubble up so that I can deal with them in a intentional and mindful, contemplative way. So I really want, at the end of this, I might say a little bit, but I really want you to think about the role of silence in your own life and whether it's something that you feel is anxiety causing and needs to be filled, or if it's something that you're comfortable in and you allow yourself to listen to. So this poem is called "Oh, What a Silence" by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Oh, what a silence is this wilderness! Might we not think the sweet and daring rises of the flown skylark, and his traverse flight at highest when he seems to brush the clouds, had been more fertile, and had sown with notes the unenduring fallows of the heaven? Or take it thus, that the concording stars had let such music down without impediment, falling along the breakless pool of air, as struck with rings of sound the close-shut palms of the wood sorrel and all things sensitive. What spirit is that makes stillness obsolete with ear-caressing speech? Where is the tongue which drives the stony air to utterance? Who is it? How come to this forgotten land? So again, just briefly, this is a rather short 3-stanza poem. Each stanza has 5 lines in it. I think the last stanza has 4. And each line of the last stanza begins with a W. There's a series of questions there that the speaker is asking about the nature of silence and stillness and the spirit that seems to fill the stillness of the silence. I think for a Catholic, as Hopkins was, silence was not a nothing, but the language of God speaking. I think for others who may not have that same opinion or that same experience with nature and with silence, it can still be imbued with and charged with a heavily spiritual power, even if that's not one that's explicitly tied to a personal God or a creator. I think it's one that can allow the human who's there to feel stripped away from the ties and the binds that draw them back to the quote-unquote civilized world and that weigh us down with stresses that nag at us. And so here he's contemplating whether the silence is an emptiness or if the silence is filled and charged with the language of God. And I think my answer to him would be a yes, both. That within the nothingness, there is the recharge of something great and strong and spiritual. And that's what's so challenging, but also so life-giving about silence. It's not like every time you go into it, you're necessarily recharging the battery and plugging in. That sometimes it can be terrifying in its emptiness, but at least for me, it's this respite from all of the things of normal everyday life that also make us and train us to not notice the eminence that's in front of us at all times. So that's just my reflection on Hopkins's words this morning, and I hope that they spoke to you as well, and that you have time today to find yourself within silence and to listen to whatever you experience, whether it's a profound nothingness or whether you hear some sort of spirit stirring there. Either way, please have a restful and grace-filled Sunday, and may peace be with all of you.